Alrighty. This drill is going to be 180 words a minute. And we're going to do several minutes in a row, and then we're going to explore it and see what we've got and why we've gotten what we've gotten. And maybe we'll drill a little bit better next time we sit down and drill. Now, this is for people who are at the end of their schooling or are already professionals. There's going to be a lot of hard names, a lot of hard words in here. For instance, rostrum, R-O-S-T-R-U-M. What does it mean? You're going to have to write it in here. As long as you can write it, that's good enough, but it's nice if you're familiar with things like this. Coretta Scott King. There you go. Famous person. You're going to have to write her name. Can you write it correctly? Do you understand exactly how it's pronounced? Coretta Scott King. Other things that we have in here. Isolationism, protectionism, consequential. There's a lot of hard words. Well, some of these you can write out, some of them you might have a brief for, but all of them, one way or another, you have to take down. Now, if you are a student, if you're in 180s, then this is beyond you. If you're a professional, there's still a good chance this is beyond you. This is going to be some hard stuff. Guaranteed. Do the best you can. We'll talk about it afterwards. Alrighty, 180 words per minute. Ready? Thank you all, Mr. Speaker, Vice President Cheney, members of Congress, members of the Supreme Court and Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests, and fellow citizens. Today our nation lost a beloved, graceful, courageous woman who called America to its founding ideals and carried on a noble dream. Tonight we are comforted by the hope of a glad reunion with the husband who was taken so long ago, and we are grateful for the good life of Coretta Scott King. Every time I'm invited to this rostrum, I'm humbled by the privilege and mindful of the history we've seen together. We have gathered under this Capitol dome in moments of national mourning and national achievement. We have served America through one of the most consequential periods of our history, and it has been my honor to serve with you. In a system of two parties, two chambers, and two elected branches, there will always be differences and debate. But even tough debates can be conducted in a civil tone, and our differences cannot be allowed to harden into anger. To confront the great issues before us, we must act in a spirit of goodwill and respect for one another, and I will do my part. Tonight, the state of our union is strong, and together we will make it stronger. In this decisive year, you and I will make choices that determine both the future and the character of our country. We will choose to act confidently in pursuing the enemies of freedom, or retreat from our duties in the hope of an easier life. We will choose to build our prosperity by leading the world economy, or shut ourselves off from trade and opportunity. In a complex and challenging time, the road of isolationism and protectionism may seem broad and inviting, yet it ends in danger and decline. The only way to protect our people, the only way to secure the peace, the only way to control our destiny is by our leadership. So the United States of America will continue to lead. Abroad, our nation is committed to an historic long-term goal. We seek the end of tyranny in our world. Now there's 2 minutes. 2 minutes at 180. Some of it was extremely fast. All of it was done on the clock. This was word count, and all of it was done on the clock. I'm pretty good at dictating, and I guarantee you this stuff was on the clock. Now, first of all, you didn't know Vice President Cheney was showing up. You had to write something for it. Just writing one stroke for it probably isn't enough. His name doesn't get mentioned enough, even though he was vice president. Coretta Scott King, I told you that was coming up. That name you could have turned into a job brief. Why didn't you? You're supposed to be almost professionals. You knew going into this you were going to have to write Coretta Scott King, along with some other words I told you about, like isolationism and protectionism. Why not turn them into job briefs? Why not do the very best you can to make your life simple? If you turn those words into easy strokes, then you have more time for other words that you're not previewed on. For instance, this says, in moments of national mourning. Now, you don't write that term mourning all that much. You write the other one, good morning, good evening, that kind of stuff, an awful lot more. But in moments of national mourning, no, you don't write that one very much. Did you come right to it? Did you think, sound alike, and write what you were supposed to? Okay, how did you perform? Did you have big drops? Probably a lot of you did. Did you write sloppy? Probably a lot of you did. That's why you're still students. You've got to stop doing those things. You have to write clear. In real life, I'm on trial for my life. I'm on trial because I'm falsely accused. I don't want people being the court reporter unless they're writing clear, unless they're being accurate, because I'm innocent. You're supposed to be helping me. You're supposed to be unbiased, of course, but if I'm not guilty, the record should help me get off and not serve any time in jail. I need you to do that. Look at this string of words. Beloved, graceful, courageous woman. 3 out of 4 words, you really don't write all that much. Since you already have courage, you might have courageous, and then you'd be lucky. Then you'd only have 2 out of 4 words that give you a little trouble. Now how about the word beloved? If you do write love, then you could write beloved in one stroke just simply by putting a B in front of it. Is it worth your while? Do you do that kind of a stroke enough to where that would help you? If not, why not write it out? Your basic skill is writing things out. Can you do it? Now, when I did teach high speed, I knew there were certain people in the class, perhaps about 5 or 10% of them. No matter what drill we did, after about 5 words, they were writing sloppy. I could never get those guys, even when they did the first sentence, to read their sentence from beginning to end without pausing. They were always pulling out the dictation from their sloppy notes. At no time were they ever writing very clear. You got to do better than that. Okay, here we go. This is at 200 for 1 minute. Ready? Thank you all. Mr. Speaker, Vice President Cheney, members of Congress, members of the Supreme Court and Diplomatic Corps, distinguished guests and fellow citizens, today our nation lost a beloved, graceful, courageous woman who called America to its founding ideals and carried on a noble dream. Tonight we are comforted by the hope of a glad reunion with the husband who was taken so long ago, and we are grateful for the good life of Coretta Scott King. Every time I'm invited to this rostrum, I'm humbled by the privilege and mindful of the history we've seen together. We have gathered under this Capitol dome in moments of national mourning and national achievement. We have served America through one of the most consequential periods of our history, and it has been my honor to serve you. In a system of 2 parties, 2 chambers, and 2 elected branches, there will always be differences and debate. But even tough debates can be conducted in a civil tone, and our differences cannot be allowed to harden into anger. To confront the great issues before us, we must act in a spirit of goodwill and respect for one another. All right, there's 1 minute. What did you do different? Did you do the same darn thing? What did you do different? Did you end up with a better point total? Did you write clearer? Were your drops smaller? Did you go in there doing the same darn thing? All righty. First of all, if you always have those big drops, you simply have to learn to keep up. You have to learn to keep up. For you to be writing, founding ideals and carried on a noble dream, and then you don't get tonight, we are comforted by the hope of a glad reunion. You know, the second sentence had much easier words. Founding ideals is not the worst thing in the world, but if it's going to force you behind and then you have to drop any part of tonight, we are comforted by the hope, well, that's not a good thing. You know, tonight we are comforted by the hope. You write those words much, much simpler than founding ideals. Get the words you should. Write clear so you always get good points. Now, what do you do? If this stuff is always too fast for you, always too hard, what do you do? Well, there's an easy thing you can do. Write slower. Now, you have to know how to do that when they're doing 180, 200, 240, 280, whatever speed they're doing. You have to know how to stay under control. But for yourself, at home, take the pressure off. Now, this is only 140. Hold on a second. I set this little alarm so it would go off at 10 minutes, but I want to do a little bit more, so we're going to push it here. If I go too far, though, we're not going to be able to put this on the internet, so I better do this the correct way. Alrighty, we got 3 minutes left. Here's the deal, Camille. We're doing 140 words a minute. 140, that's it. This is not a cakewalk. Now, the words are coming slower, but you are going to definitely have to know how to drop. My Lord. First 3 words, all 3 of them are bad. First 6 words, only 2 of them are 1 stroke. First 8 words, only 3 of them are one stroke, and it goes like that. It's hard stuff, but it's coming slower. You should be able to say, I'm falling behind. How about if I drop this word? Instead of dropping a whole bunch, how about if you drop individually? Instead of writing sloppy, how about if you write clear and get as much as you can? Here we go, 140. Ready? Dictatorships shelter terrorists and feed resentment and radicalism and seek weapons of mass destruction. Democracies replace resentment with hope, respect the rights of their citizens and their neighbors, and join the fight against terror. Every step toward freedom in the world makes our country safe, so we will act boldly in freedom's cause. Far from being a hopeless dream, the advance of freedom is the great story of our time. In 1945, there were about 24 lonely democracies in the world. Today, there are 122. And we're writing a new chapter in the story of self-government, with women lining up to vote in Afghanistan and millions of Iraqis marking their liberty with purple ink, and men and women from Lebanon to Egypt debating the rights of individuals and the necessity of freedom. Now, it probably sounded like I went down in speed after I did, 30, 40 words, but I didn't. The beginning part was really tough. Dictatorships shelter terrorists and feed resentment and radicalism. That's hard stuff. That's all you can say. There's an awful lot of syllables in there. For me to stay on the clock, I have to read fast. I have to spit those syllables out really fast. But I did stay on the clock. 140. 140. Now, did you write clear? If not, see if you can find this at a lower speed. If you can't do that, go into it knowing you have to drop more. Alrighty. Now, here's another part. This one, we have names on it. This is only 120 words a minute. Can you write these so that you can actually read them? Are you just going to give 1 stroke for a 3-stroke name? Are you going to just give 2 for a very unfamiliar 3-stroke name? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? This is only 120, and this is directed towards the 180s, and I challenge any 180 first time you sit down here to get every single word. Here we go. Drop when you have to. Write clear at all times. Ready? And we do not forget the other half. In places like Syria and Burma, Zimbabwe, North Korea, and Iran, because the demands of justice and the peace of this world require their freedom as well. No one can deny the success of freedom, but some men rage and fight against it. And one of the main sources of reaction and opposition is radical Islam, the perversion by a few of a noble faith into an ideology of terror and death. Terrorists like bin Laden are serious about mass murder, and all of us must take their declared intentions seriously. They seek to impose a heartless system of totalitarian control throughout the Middle East and arm themselves with weapons of mass murder. Alrighty, I think I'm going to have to stop here. We've already gone 12 minutes, and I'm not quite sure how long I can make this before YouTube will tell me we can't put it up there. What did you do with Syria? 3 syllables. What did you give me? How about Burma? It's only 2. How about Zimbabwe? There's 3. North Korea. Can you really read it if you just wrote North Korea, North Korea, North Korea, whatever you did? Can you write through these names and give me every single syllable until you actually have it written once, and then after that you can shorten it down for the next time you write it? Can you write hard stuff and write it clear? Can you always write clear? Can you keep up? Can you drop quick? This stuff was too hard to get. Did you drop proper, or did you lose a lot of little words because you wrote through hard junk, then you had to drop, and then you just gave up, and you just swept your mind clean of whatever you were carrying in your head, and you lost all the easy words like a and the and is and things like that. All right. This dictation was taken from the Bush State of the Union address from 2006. I do have it on CD available on buysteno.com. If you're interested, see you next time.